will be visible on the recording. We welcome questions throughout the program and ask that you put them in chat. You can ask questions to everyone or privately to any of the hosts or co-hosts. We will pass them verbally to our chef instructor. I want to acknowledge our tech host for today, Echo. She is helping with the Zoom production and can offer tech tips in chat if needed. Project Feast is a nonprofit located in Kent, Washington, that offers immigrants and refugees an opportunity to learn skills for running a food-based business, all while sharing their culinary skills and learning new ones. At the Ubuntu Street Cafe and in the Meals to Go program, cooks offer their own creations from their home cuisines. In this way, we all get a chance to share parts of other places through a love of food and cooking.
Better than before.
Today, we will share the food and cooking of Pakistan with Kausar Ahmed, chef instructor at Project Feast. In a moment, I will turn it over to Kausar, who can tell you more about Project Feast and the delicious treats in store for us today. If you don't mind, please put yourself on mute through this program. And now, welcome, Kausar.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, KCLS. We are so excited to be here. Welcome closer. So, we were just saying that we are fully vaccinated. So that's the best part, that we can be teaching together. And we are standing in the kitchen of Project Feast, as you just heard. And we are very excited to be here sharing Pakistani cuisine, specifically Pakistani street food, which I teach the students here as well. And I have a very special current student standing here with us. And I would like you to introduce yourself. Tell everyone your name and where you're from.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel Vasquez. I am from El Salvador.
And we are learning a lot of great dishes from him, from his country. And we will be showcasing them in our family meals as well. Our family meals are always sold out, so very excited about that. But I will keep it short. If you want to know more about Project Feast, you want to know more about me, you want to know more about Danny, keep asking questions about food, questions, keep the questions coming. If there's anything you missed out, if you think you want to know more about the ingredients, I'm still going to try and really go through it. But please don't hesitate to put your questions in chat and I will get them and I can reply. Also, Pakistani street food. There are tons and tons of delicious street food in Pakistan. I was born and raised in Karachi, which is a very, very diverse city. So I was, I learned a lot of different cuisines and I ate a lot of street food over there. So one of my favorite, a couple of my favorite, one is the chicken malai roti. So malai means cream. So it's creamy and it's tender and it's moist and juicy. It's delicious. It's got a bunch of ingredients in it, but they are ingredients that I think everybody would have at home. And if you think there's one or two things that you don't have, you can just omit them. That's perfectly fine. So for the malai chicken, I'm going to go through the ingredients and we can just switch to the board. That's okay. I'll keep talking about the ingredients and I will tell everyone what they are. So as soon as we switch, I will go through the ingredients with you. So I'm sure everybody got the ingredient list. And if there's anyone who is all prepped up and cooking with me, you can start now. I have about, I've written 2 pounds of boneless chicken thighs and thigh meat. I use thigh meat only because it is more moist, it's more juicy, and breast fillet just dry up a little when you bake them or you grill them, but it's totally your choice. So I've got around 4 pounds of the meat over here. So I have we switched to, we have already, right? Switch to the, okay, there we go. Perfect. So I've got the meat over here and it's chopped up into about 2-inch bites. I'm going to move that out because it's the spices that we are really talking about over here. So we start off with the 2 tablespoons of almond paste. So a lot of people ask, how do you make the almond paste? So I blanch the almonds, or if you already got blanched almonds, you can just put it in the food processor with enough water to run the machine. So this is like a really nice paste that Danny made yesterday. Thank you, Danny, for this. It's really good. So blanching the almonds, you put the almonds with the skin in hot water for 10 minutes. You peel the skin off and you've got blanched almonds. And then you can put them in the food processor and process them and make it like this. We've made a bunch of this and we've kept it on the side. And then we have the papaya paste, which is absolutely optional. You don't have to have it, but I've made a paste out of this as well. And you get it in Asian stores in the freezer, or you get the green papaya, which you can peel and you can slice up. I have that in the freezer all the time. And then we come to the lemon juice. I put the lemons over here. We have lemon juice already ready. I would like to talk a little about hung curd. You can use Greek yogurt, but hung curd, what is hung curd? It's basically curd you hang. I've got the cheesecloth over here and I put yogurt in it. So what I need is, I don't need any of the liquid. So what I did was, yesterday, I put this in this cheesecloth and I put it in a strainer and a deep bowl. And there's a lot of liquid in there. I will show you. Hung curd can last in the fridge for a long time. And if you can see the consistency of this, it's amazing. It's so good. You can make delicious kebabs out of this. You can make dips out of this. And I think it's like almost magical. And then we have the fresh cream. We have the melted butter or the vegetable oil. I prefer butter or ghee in it. I think it gives a little flavor to it. Ginger and garlic paste, desiccated coconut. Now coconut it doesn't feel like or taste like coconut, but it binds it all together, all the flavors together. Cornstarch. Cornstarch makes it nice and thick and saucy, and it gives a really nice coating to the chicken. The salt, the red chili, garam masala, brown white pepper, and we have the roasted ground cumin. For anyone who knows how to roast it, fine, but otherwise I have it over here. Just in a pan, I just put the ground cumin or cumin seeds in it, whatever I need to toast. And I just put it on the stove for a couple of minutes until you can smell it and you can hear it crackling and you can see it changing color. So you'll be using all your senses when you are actually toasting this. And then I would like to tell you just a little about the red chilies that we use. Red chili powder is pure red chili powder, which is made out of Dundee cut pepper. Now these chilies you can find in any Indian or Pakistani store, but feel free to use the red chili powder. You have it, and you can substitute it with a mixture of cayenne and smoked paprika too. That's totally fine. All right, so I'm going to push this aside, and the next step, the main step to this, and sorry, I forgot to show the cilantro paste. Cilantro paste is just put it in the blender again and just with a little water, and there you go. So this adds a lot of flavor to it as well. There we go. So here's the chicken marinade. I keep talking while Danny marinates this. Danny, would you like to come on this side? And we've prepped everything and we have all our ingredients ready and we just need to pop them in there. Go for it. Everything. So remember, we measured it out. So I've got spoons over there. Marination is very important. It really, really soaks the flavor in of all all the ingredients, all the spices. Another thing I would like to mention is that spices, when you talk about spices, a lot of people think that it's just spicy food. For me, hot and spicy is not necessarily flavorful. A combination and a balance of the spices is extremely important. So this particular recipe for the Malai chicken is extremely flavorful, but not spicy. You will get the flavors of all the ingredients in it. That's the most important part. So, and marinating it, if you think you have time and you can marinate it the night before, that's the best thing to do. If you think you don't have time, you can marinate it even 1 or 2 hours before, and it turns out great. So this is what Danny is doing right now, putting in all the ingredients in it. And we will be ready with the marination. So what we've done is we have 1 batch of chicken in the oven for you. And we will be showing that to you in a bit. So the oven is preheated on 400 degrees. And if you, and about 30 minutes, it depends on the quantity of the chicken. Put the timer on for 20 minutes and then check it. And if you have a broiler at home, just broil the chicken right at the end, beautifully charred chicken, or with the beautiful weather, summer here, you can also put your grill on. So grill should be on medium high. So yeah, there you go. Grill should be on medium high. And you can also put these on skewers and you can grill it. We are going to be making the paratha roll. I will be putting it in a paratha and rolling it up, but you can also have the paratha separately and you can have the roti separately as well. For any vegetarians out there, oh, that's a 30-minute call. Thank you. For any vegetarians out there, you can marinate vegetables with this too. And if you can eat paneer, paneer is a great substitute for meat. Marinate paneer and just cube up sweet peppers in different colors, bell pepper, capsicum, whatever you call it, and red onions cubed up, and you will get a delicious vegetarian dish. And if you do not want paneer, just do the same with different, even you can even put cauliflower. A bunch of vegetables makes it really delicious. And the salt, of course, just taste the salt. All right, great, Danny. Thank you so much. So we're going to cover this up and we're going to put it in the fridge. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Kausar, I have a question from the audience about using extra firm tofu as well.
Yes, absolutely. Tofu works great with it. So tofu, you wouldn't want to, the tofu and the paneer, you wouldn't want to marinate these things overnight. Just marinate them for about maximum of 30 minutes. And it turns out great. Okay, so we are going to move on to making, I'll just move here. I'll just take it. Yeah, I'll make this. All right. Okay, well, in fact, it's going to be teamwork. So Danny is going to make it. Yes, keep the questions coming. Any questions? So what we are going to move on to is making the dough for the paratha. So just mix that. So for the dough, what we traditionally use is whole wheat atta, which you get at Indian or Pakistani stores. But if you don't have that, just use whole wheat flour and you'll get delicious parathas out of that as well. So what you need is 2.5 cups of whole wheat flour or atta, 2 teaspoons of ghee or softened butter. And if you don't want to use either of these, just use canola or vegetable oil, but it is actually the butter and the ghee that gives it the flavor. So I would highly recommend that you use that. and a half teaspoon of salt and about 3/4 cup of water or as needed. Now, I would like to point out here that the flours, different brands have different levels of moisture they need. So just keep about 1 cup or 1 cup and a half. What Danny is doing right now is that he's rubbing in the ghee with the flour, and you don't need to worry about any lumps in there because they all come together. So I'm going to help him with. So the water is not hot or warm water, it's just regular tap water, regular tap cold water. So gradually adding it in, and he is going to put it all together. So don't be in a hurry. For anyone who is going to be making dough for the first time, don't be in a rush to pour all the water in. That happens, and just in case you do, what do? You just add in more flour and just fix it. Don't dump it. So we're going to keep mixing it, keep getting it together. You know, the key to good cooking and flavorful cooking is cooking with love and patience. So cooking requires a lot of love, a lot of patience. And that's what we try and instill here also at Project Feast. When we are teaching recipes or when our apprentices are writing their own recipes and then learning and testing their recipes. All right, Danny, that looks great. Keep going. Keep going. So you still see. Let's just move it here so that everyone can see. So you can see that he's bringing it all together like this. Just bring it all together in the middle, Danny. All right, great. I'm adding in just a little more. What I like to do is personally that once he's brought all the dough together, I don't knead it immediately. I let it rest for about 10 minutes and then come back to the kneading. That really brings it together well, and the kneading just takes about a minute or two. You do not want to over knead this. Okay, nearly done. So let's bring it all together, Danny. Great.
Kausar, I love what you're saying about taking our time and putting a lot of love into cooking. Thank you for that reminder. I have a question about substitutes.
Yes.
And someone wonders about substituting cashews for almond paste.
Yes, you know, thank you for that question. And that was with a lot of other things in my mind. I meant to tell you, and you can substitute cashews. Absolutely. You can do that, unsalted cashews. All right, thank you, Dan. You can wash your hands. I just want to show the last step. Thank you. So as you can see that this has come together. Now you will, I'm not sure if you can see, it's nearly done, but it's just a little dry for me, cracking up from here to there. Instead of adding water at this point, what I do is I dip my fingers into this and I just mix it. And it just becomes perfect. And if you think it's still not perfect, another dip instead of adding. So this is the final putting together of the dough. So this is done. I do not want to knead it right now. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, just cover it. And this is a slightly damp towel. I don't want it to dry up, and I am covering it up properly and putting it away. And there you go. So we are going to be coming back to making the parathas in a bit, because I would like to show you how to knead that as well. Now we are going to move to the chutney. So Danny, could you get that, please?
Yes.
So I'll get this from here, and we are just going to move our white mix there. Thank you. And I will also get the ingredients here to show everyone what the ingredients are. So the chutney, this chutney is delicious. I mean, people say that, and I love it too. And I will tell you a bit about the tamarind as well. Thank you. So moving to the chutney. So for the chutney, I just want to make sure I have everything here. I just needed the salt from there, please. Yes, thank you. Okay. So for the chutney, I've doubled up the ingredients. I wanted to make a bit more so that I know that one will also want to taste it and eat it. We love chutneys. So it's 1 cup of tamarind paste, and I'll tell you a bit about tamarind in a bit. And it's 1 cup of fresh mint leaves. You can even have just a little more, they'll double it up. Green chili. Now the green chili, the spiciness in this chutney is totally up to you. That's the fun part about these recipes, that you're in control of how spicy you want it. So the green chili can be serrano. That's what we are using over here. It can be jalapeno. If you want it a little milder, you can even use Anaheim, but I would say that just use half an Anaheim and maybe a quarter of the serrano or the jalapeno. Give it a little mixture of it and get that just a little spiciness in there. So, and brown sugar, which is going to give the sweetness to it. So I wanted to tell you a bit about tamarind paste. So I use the block of tamarind. The block of tamarind, which we soak in water, the whole block, about 3 cups water, warm water. I prefer warm water to hot water. I soak it in there for about 15-20 minutes. I just use a strainer and just take the seeds out and strain out the pulp from it. So now you will see that this is beautiful brown color and it's like a nice thick paste. So I've also doubled up this recipe as I told you. Tamarind paste come in very, very different consistencies and sourness. The level of sourness is different. I know that in stores you get these really good brands, but some of them are very dark and some are very liquidy. If you get a very liquidy one, I would advise you to use just a quarter cup of that. It's extremely sour, so you wouldn't want to use the whole cup of that. If it's a very thick paste, again, I would say use quarter cup and add just a little water to it. So what we are going to do is,
should we take it out?
yes, that should be done. And we can just put it on the stove like this. So everything just goes into the food processor or the blender. Now, the difference using a blender or a food processor, the food processor will make the chutney just a little chunkier. The blender will make it into a nice smooth. So that's totally your call for what you have at home, right? You don't have to be fancy. Oh, let me move the Vitamix just over here. A little close, and maybe I'll turn the screen up a little so that you can see it. There you go. All right, so I'm popping everything in here. So I've got the tamarind paste. Danny, you want to come and do this, please? Tamarind paste will go in there. Yeah, all the tamarind paste. And, the flavor, all right, thank you. I put that in and you will just put this in. All the mint. So we've doubled it up. Fine. Let's get this. Okay, the mint is in there. Now the sugar, the brown sugar, or if you know we get the jaggery also in Pakistani Indian stores. I love using jaggery. That's like raw sugar, but it comes in blocks. Oh, yes, the garlic and the green chilies going there as well. And then we have the toasted cumin seeds. All right, let me get the toasted cumin seeds. So we toasted the cumin seeds over here, and they have changed color and they smell really good. So toasting, why do we toast? I will just tell you that as well. So this will go there. And then we'll turn the machine on. What did I miss? No, not that. That's for the rest. Thank you for reminding me.
Kausar, earlier on, there was a question about substituting tamarind sauce. I'm not quite sure where, but you may know.
So tamarind sauce, I mean, there's no substitute for tamarind, but what I recommend, because, you know, in my classes when I'm teaching, a lot of people cannot find it. So I tell them to use lemon juice instead, just fresh lemon juice.
Thank you.
Yeah, we had that somewhere, but that's okay. We can just, what we are trying to do over here is, if your machine, if you see there's a lot of liquid in there already and your machine is taking a while, again, I would say just a little patience and love. And just use a spatula or a spoon to push it in and then run the machine again. There you go. So now the flavor of this chutney, it should be spicy, it should be sour to a level that you like, and it should be mildly sweet. So if you think that, Danny, you want to taste it? I think it's good, huh?
Yeah.
Oh boy, it's spicy. It is, right? You know what I would put? Just a little bit of salt. And we just run the machine once more. So the salt. And this beautiful chutney is done. One, could you pass me that silver bowl, please? Oh, thank you. All right, and we could move this out of the way. And I will show everyone the consistency of this chutney. Oh, let me put this thing down a bit so that when I'm pouring it out, you can see it's a beautiful thick chutney. And if you have the tamarind paste, which is darker, your chutney will be darker. So don't really worry about it, okay? All right, so salt, I was talking to you about salt. Do not be afraid of salt. You don't want to over salt your food, but the salt brings out the flavor of your food. Can you come on this side? A lot of people just keep adding spices, thinking, I used to do that at the beginning, you know. I want everyone to see you. So a lot of people like me, when I was younger, I used to keep adding spices that, oh, there's something missing, but it's actually the salt. So you add the salt and the flavor pops out. All right, so the chutney is out of the way. If there are any more questions, I would love to answer them. And then we have the chana aloo chaat. Chana aloo chaat is like so quick. So we still have time. Okay, we are good. I'm going to put the chana, we're going to mix it together, and then we are going to move to the paratha. Let's get that here, Danny. Let's keep that here. And this. And we have the salt over here. Thank you. And I want you to come here again. I would like to go through the ingredients for the chana aloo chaat. Now, chana aloo chaat is, I grew up eating this chaat from one of my favorite roadside cafes, and I would like tag along with my mom every weekend. I hated going for grocery shopping, but you know, that was the deal, that you go with me for grocery shopping and you can eat this. And that's what I love. So the chana aloo chaat with some papri, which we've made over here. Chickpeas, you can, you know, if you want to make your life easier, just get a can of chickpeas, or like we prefer to do everything from scratch. You just soak a cup or two of chickpeas overnight. It's best to soak it overnight if you can, otherwise at least for 2 hours. And then you boil them. You boil them, depending on the quantity, you boil them from anywhere from 30 minutes to 1 hour. And then dice up potatoes, peel and cube potatoes and boil them. And that's what we have over here. The most delicious part about this is the tamarind chutney in it. It becomes into a chutney. Now this salad can be eaten cold. You can just put it in the fridge and eat it whenever you want to. It can be eaten at room temperature or nice and piping hot, like I used to eat at the roadside cafe. They would have it in a big, huge pan on the stove, just heating up, put everything into a plate with the sauces, and then top it with the garnishing right when you're about to eat it. You don't want to garnish it and leave it with a hot salad. So what we're going to mix in this, you can also cook all of this together in a pan if you are heating it up, all the chutney that we are mixing. So half cup of the tamarind paste or the pulp, Danny, everything goes in. Thank you. And then we have the cumin seeds in it. And I'm just putting the toasted ones. That's what I love doing. You can even crush these a little in the mortar and pestle if you want to. And then toasted cumin powder. Anyone put a teaspoon of this, please? 1 teaspoon.
Kausar, is
Yeah.
is it best to toast the seeds and cumin right when you're using them, or can you toast and store it?
You can toast and store it. You can, definitely you can. It's just me. I prefer to just toast it fresh because I feel it's just the aroma, which is so vibrant and so flavorful when it's fresh. But you can totally, that's what my mom used to do. She used to toast the ground cumin and the cumin seeds and keep them. So, and then I was saying that the spices are again totally up to you. You can keep them mild, you can keep it spicy, that's totally up to you. So 1 teaspoon of the chili flakes in there. That's okay, just use this. Let's use this. 1 teaspoon. Oh, that's
a lot.
That's, yeah, it's bigger than this. So let's keep that. So half to 1 teaspoon, that's totally up to you because I doubled up the recipe. So I'm just adding a little extra in there. And then we have the red chili powder. Again, totally up to you. So we'll just add about half a teaspoon and we can always add more. Yeah. Thank you. And then we have the chaat masala. Now chaat masala, I always feel is the magical spice mix. And, you know, we make all our spices here, fresh spices at Project Feast. And I do that personally too. But there is also a great brand, a couple of brands at the Indian Pakistani stores. And I think you get ready-made. Yeah. So this is not very spicy. It's extremely flavorful. It's got cumin in it. It's got coriander in it, a bunch of spices in it. And then we have the brown sugar in this again to give it the sweetness. You can add about, yeah, heat. Yeah, go for it. 1 more. Okay, so this again, we can mix it together. This again is going to be spicy to the level you like. It's going to be mildly sweet. And it is going to be sour. Look at that. The whole tree. We did not add the salt. So let's get the salt in.
Kausar, I have another question here. I noticed that you put the ingredients for the marinades and the sauces in one at a time, as opposed to mixing them all together in a bowl and then throwing the whole thing in. And I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on that, or if that's just a style preference.
Well, that's a style preference. This is, you know, this is what I always do, but you can always, but that's a great question because I will tell you that all the ingredients with the tamarind paste that I had, all the spices and everything, You can mix them in a separate bowl and you can cook them also. And that way you'll have a separate chutney as well. And make some extra and it turns out into a delicious chutney as well. So have that separate and mix the rest into that. So great question. Thank you. All right. So now we are going to be dishing this out. By the way, clean that up. And you can garnish it with just diced onions, tomatoes, and you can do it in individual bowls also. You can even have green chili. That's your preference if you want some extra green chili or you don't want it. And then I have the papri that we made. We didn't have enough time today. You can just crush this up and you can just put half. That's totally up to you. We didn't have a lot of time today, so I did not have time to show how to make papri, maybe another day. So here's the platter for the chana chaat, which is ready. I'm going to move this out, clean this up, and we are quickly going to make the paratha. Okay, Danny, we are going to, which one was the one Danny made?
Before or now?
Yeah, right.
No?
Yeah, I think I'm going to take that. I just want to show it. Okay, Danny, you want to come on this side, please? Okay, let's get the flour. So we are coming to the dough that Danny already made over here for the paratha.
Kausar, I have several questions. I wonder if you would mind to answer them.
Absolutely.
One of them is, would you mind to repeat one more time how to prepare tamarind paste from a block?
Absolutely. Yes, I will actually also show you. We have a block over there. I can show it to people also. So if you just give me a few minutes, I will actually show you how to do that.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So I can.
Super. Here's another question. Is there a recommended substitute for chickpeas in the chana chaat?
Well, you can use actually you can use I'm just thinking of what which one would be best to bind the flavors in. I think any of the white beans also work well, and the red kidney bean also, because I personally love them too. You can go ahead and do that too.
Oh, wonderful. And one more quick question. When you're talking about roasting cumin powder, do you roast the seeds and then grind them, or do you actually roast the powder?
So it depends on the recipe, right? So if I've toasted the cumin seeds, I will toast them and I will grind them also if I need to. And that it is, or I always prefer to put them in a mortar and pestle and just coarsely just grind them at that. That's the best way to do it. But then if you're using a machine, just put it in the machine and do that. So with the seeds, you can get both things. Grind them, keep them as seeds, as whole as well. And half of it, you can just grind it and keep it. And I tell you, when you grind it or you use the mortar and the pestle, the smell and the aroma is just amazing.
So do you actually roast the powder, or do you roast the seeds and then grind?
Well, today I did both. Today what I did today was I roasted the powder. This was only the powder. I did not grind the seeds to make this.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so a quick knead over here. So you can see I did not knead it, and I'm not actually, just if you do want to add some flour, just throw in very little, spread it out and just knead it. So when you let it rest for a few minutes, about 10-15 minutes we did, you will see that when you knead it, it comes together so quickly. And you just want it to be nice and smooth. And Danny is going to be rolling this out too. And then you can just roll this out. You can roll it out into a log and you can divide it. Grab a knife and divide this. This is 2.5 cups, depending on the size of the paratha you want. If you want a nice big paratha, you can divide this into about 4. Otherwise, it makes about 5 to 6 medium-sized parathas. So, and the remaining one, whatever you have left, make sure you cover it because it dries up really fast. Now, to make the roll it out. So what you need to do is you need to press this. Now, this is a plain paratha we are making. Then we have the layered ones, which is a different story. So I'm pressing it. Danny, you want to do this too with me, please? Press it and roll it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this board out of the way. Sorry. Because I like this. Clean this up real quick. There you go, Danny. Now again, I would say you don't want a lot of flour, just spread this out. Now you're using the tips of your fingers to shape it out and also stretch it out. You're doing 2 things at the same time. And then I'm just going to turn around and turn the stove on, was on medium heat, because I want my pan to start heating up. Nothing in the pan. The pan is empty right now. I've got some ghee with me over there. So we'll move there later, but I'm just going to turn on the stove. All right. So shape it out again. So round rotis and round parathas is a huge thing in our culture that should be beautifully round. Can I get one of the rolling pins, please? Yes, any. You can give me any. All right, rolling it out now. So keep flipping. If you are making a kebab roll, I would say that you roll it out just a little thin. And rolling it out, you know, it's very, very easy to leave the edges thick. You don't want that. Make sure you're rolling out the edges really well, and it's even rolling all over. That looks great, Danny. You got your rolling pin? All right. Okay. So now I'm just going to check, and the last little bit, I'm just pressing down the edges, and that's what I'm doing. And I'm going to move back now to the stove. And I would like to show you what I'm going to be doing over there. So we can actually switch to the stove. Okay, so as soon as we switch to the stove, there you go. All right, so I've got ghee over here. Now what I'm going to do is, I like my ghee and butter, I'm telling you. So I'm going to share it out there, because this is a big pan. I just want to cook it, and I might not want to put any extra. So just making sure it's nice and heated up. Spin it out. And then I will just pop the paratha. So it's starting to sizzle very lightly from the sides. Yeah, I'm sure you can see it. And I've got my flat spatula over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give this about 10 to 15 seconds. As soon as after it starts to sizzle from all sides. And this is now sizzling really well. and it just starts sliding. It does. So you don't really have to worry about it, but you can move it around. Big paratha like mine. And the important thing in the first step of making this paratha is to make sure that it's cooked from inside. Although it's pretty thin, but I flipped it after about 15 to 20 seconds, and I'm pressing it down from the side especially. It's again very easy. The sides and the heat is letting it cook.
Kausar, it's not really browning, is it? Is that right?
It's well browned.
It is browning. It's hard to tell on the video.
No, it's not as yet. It will.
Oh, it will. Okay, thank you.
Yes, that's what I'm going to show you. As I said, the first step is to make sure that it's cooking from inside. And the second step is to make sure that it's browning up. So it's gradually browning up. For me, this side just needs a little more heat. It looks a little dry. So I've added that. And I've just turned the heat up a little. So as you can see, it's browning up. And now my goal is to actually brown it up. At the same time, I'm moving it around.
So by flipping it often, you're cooking it on the inside, is that right?
That's the first goal, yes. The first goal is cooking it from inside. Done. There you go. Can you see this? So this has browned up. All right, Danny, I'm just taking it off. Did you have a question?
I don't think we have any at the moment.
Okay.
Well, we
Alright.
did have a small debate about substituting apple butter for tamarind pulp, but the conclusion seems to be that apple butter plus lemon juice could be a substitute for tamarind pulp.
It could be. I mean, a substitute it could be definitely, but you won't, get the same flavors. But yes, you could substitute it with a bunch of things. Danny, you are done.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to put my board over here because I want to get my paratha. Okay, I'm going to take my paratha out. Okay. I'm going to move to the board now. You can cook your paratha. Then you cook his while I show you the paratha here. Yeah. He's going to put the ghee in first, and then he is going to cook his paratha, which looks great. Okay, are we back over here? What? I am just giving Danny his. And as you can see, Danny has rolled out his paratha a little thinner, which is fine too, because we want to make a kebab roll out of it. And I want to get my chicken and show you. The chicken that we baked is ready. Right over here, and I could get that actually, and I could get this tray empty. So the chicken is done over here. So always make sure if you have a thermometer, just check that it's 165 degrees, it's fully cooked. Otherwise, if you just break it with a spoon or a fork, you will see that it's done. So this is, see, it's so tender, fully cooked and extremely tender. So now if you want to make a paratha roll, you can also just keep this on the side. That butter paper, please. I'm going to get all the garnishing and I'm going to show you, thank you, how I'm going to do this. All right. So if you want to make a paratha roll, you can even just keep this on the side. You can eat it with the paratha. I'm going to put all this in there. And then the chutney is right here. Top it with the chutney. Like a big burrito, huh? As much or as little you want. And you know, this chicken recipe is great because kids can eat it too if they can't take too much of spicy food. You can even have cucumber in it. And I'm going to just roll this up. Because this is whole wheat flour, it does crack up a little, so don't worry about that. I am going to put this, I'm actually going to slice this. The macerated knife is. So you can see that it looks beautiful. I'm going to dish it out in this. And I have some onions and lime on the side as well. And I'm going to just clean this up very quickly. Everything out of the way. The chutney is there. There's more chutney over here. There's the papri chaat. You can even add this to your chana chaat if you like. Oh, look at this beautiful paratha Danny has made. You know what I still love eating paratha with? I just put a lot of sugar on it and I eat it. So, yes.
Switch to the main one?
Hmm?
Should we switch to the main?
Everything, right?
Yes, that's it.
Okay. All right. So everyone can see over here. And any other questions? I would love to answer them. And of course, you know, like we were talking about the substitutes, I haven't experimented with a lot of substitutes, to be honest, but I, you know, generally would know that what would really go or what would really not go with this. If anyone has ever tried the black chickpea salad is also delicious. So if you ever get a chance, try the black chickpeas, you soak them and you boil them. They don't double up in size as much as the white chickpeas. So there you go, Danny, you can eat it. So we are done with all the recipes, but you know, any questions you might have right now, or you might have later, you can, you know, follow us on Project Feast. That will be great, and ask us. Tamarind, is that what I saw?
Yes, tamarind block and pulp.
Tamarind,
Yeah.
thank you for reminding me. All right, so let me get these dishes out of the way. And I am going to get a bowl real quick.
While you're getting ready, here are a couple of questions. Where can we get black chickpeas? Are they at the average grocery store?
Well, black chickpeas, I've seen them at the Indian Pakistani grocery store, but I think, you know, one of the big stores which have the bulk sections, they sometimes carry them as well. If you're in Seattle, I think PCC carries them. So what
Great.
yeah,
Thank you.
So here goes the whole tamarind block in this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just grab some water, just warm water. And you know, it can be warm water, it can be lukewarm. And if you have time, put hot water in and let it cool down a little. So enough to cover this. I want to cover this. And I would leave it for at least 20 minutes, but because I want to show it to you, this is a messy job, but it's, oh yeah, it is, but it gives you something really good to store in the fridge. The couple of things which I always have in my fridge is tamarind paste. I always have cilantro. I always have tomatoes. So a bunch of things which I always have because I personally, so you can see, oops, yeah, you can see this is messy, but this will give you a lot of pulp. So now when you strain this out, let me quickly show you how to strain it out too. Okay, so if you are straining it out, it'll be better to get a deeper bowl. So there you go. I'll do this. Is there another bowl down there? Oh, there is. I got it. I have another bowl on the side because I'm going to put the seeds in it. So I'm taking, there's a lot of pulp in there. I'm pushing it down. As you can see, I'm pushing it down. And I also scrape it off with my hands. And then whatever is left, there's a lot in there. So I can just add, oops, I need more water, but I'll just get some water. But these I will put in this, do the rest of it, and I'll put it in this bowl. Then I'll add water in there again. So you can do it a few times. You don't want to make it very liquidy, so just be careful about that. But I do not like to waste, and I don't encourage anyone else to do that. So you will try and get as much pulp out of this. So some more water in this.
So you just keep repeating the process.
At least 2 to 3 times. So this is what you do. Can you see that it's got so much? It's got a lot in there. So you can just jar this up and you can keep it in the fridge. I keep it in there for at least a month. It goes on. Okay, quickly washing my hands.
We have another question, which may be an entirely different class, but I'll give it to you. Briefly, how do you make papri for the chana shot? Is it a very small paratha or something else?
So the papri is very, very easy to make. It's like, it's crunchy. So as I showed you, this is, you can hear the crack and the crunch. It's a very simple recipe. If there's anybody who wants to, if I have it here, I can give it to you. If anybody has a paper and a pen, you could quickly write it down. It's really easy. So you take 1 cup of flour, all-purpose flour, and 1 teaspoon of carom seeds or cumin seeds, just whole. 1.5 to 2 teaspoons of vegetable or canola oil. Don't use butter or ghee. I would not recommend using that. 1/2 teaspoon of salt and about 1/3 cup or as needed of water, which is just tap water. That's it. You mix it up and you make this into a dough. And then again, exactly what I did with the paratha dough, leave it for 10 minutes, knead it, roll it out thin, not paper thin, but thin. And then I just use cookie cutters to cut it round. I heat up oil and deep fry them. Again, I would say patience and love. You want the oil to heat up, but the flame should be on medium or medium low. And these take a while to fry up. If you hurry these up, if you try and fry these up quickly, they don't cook from inside. So you have to ensure that they cook enough, at least 3 to 4 minutes on one side, because even if you're deep frying, you do have to flip them. So make sure you do that. And then the end, right at the end, you just want to make them golden brown and brown them up, and that's it. You will see some of them will puff up and some of them will not puff up, which is perfectly all right, but you will see these little bubbles on them. And if you want to just have kachori, if somebody wants a fried tortilla, just fry them for a few minutes until they puff up and take them out. So that can be, you can make two things out of this recipe. You can make the papri and you can just make a fried, round, puffy bread. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much, Kausar. I think that we are done with questions. We have a comment that you can make roti with the same recipe, someone thinks.
You can make roti with the same recipe, yes. You think right. You can make it, and if you want to, well, my grandmother used to add oil in her roti dough, which is perfectly, so you can have cumin roti, or you can just not add cumin or carom seeds and make the dough and make a roti out of it.
Are you saying cumin or caraway?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Great. And people are asking about the recipes, and I just want to remind everyone that I will be sending those out, and I will include the ingredients list again. And I really want to give a warm thank you to Kausar and your assistant Kausar and Project Feast. This has been a wonderful class.
Well, there's somebody off camera who has been helping out like crazy.
Oh, yes, Vaughn. Thank you, Vaughn. I'm sorry I forgot you. I didn't forget you. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's Danny and Juan, and we had
Danny. Yes. Thank you so much for mentioning everyone. And thank you to Echo, our tech.
Yes, thank you, all of you.
Yep. Great. Well, I'll send out the other classes. Let me quickly put them in the chat.
Yeah, and and we are going to be having monthly classes with KCLS, and we have really fun classes coming up. Some are going to be in Spanish, but I would still encourage you, even if you don't understand or speak Spanish, you will learn the recipes. If you will follow the recipes, and they're going to be great recipes coming up. So, and if you have any questions, like I said, do follow us on Instagram and Facebook, Project Feast. Send us the questions. We would be happy to reply.
I think it's wonderful how many ingredients are shared across cultures. That was very obvious in this class, and I appreciated that so much. Thanks again, and thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Everyone who joined in, whether we know you or we don't know you, a lot of people I know have joined in, but thank you to each one of you. It means a lot.
Yeah.